A little over a year ago, my wife and I got out of the landlording business, at least for now, and I'm so glad that we did, because being a landlord these days means that not only are you fighting rising expenses and dwindling profits, but now you have to worry about if your tenants can even afford to pay the rent, because more and more people are starting to miss rent payments because of how expensive everyday living has become. In fact, this has been a growing trend since April of 2023, where on-time rent payments have been falling since then, according to Shandon Economics. Shannon reports that the 3-month moving average of late rent payments for independent rental properties is forecast to be at 11.4% as of July of 2025. In July of 2024, an average of 9.3% of rental payments were late. So that is a 2% increase in just 1 year. That might not sound like a lot, but that translates into millions more people being late on their rent this year versus last year. And obviously nobody should be surprised that that's the case, because everything has gotten far too expensive. And to be able to keep up with everything, well, we know people just can't. So they don't pay things that don't have immediate consequences. People stop paying credit card bills. People stop paying the rent. People stop paying medical bills. Anything where you're not going to see an immediate problem for not paying, those are the type of bills that people put off and pay late or don't pay at all. Now, late rent payments tend to decline when people start getting their tax refunds in the spring. However, the late rent payments in May were still more than 2.3 percentage points higher than the same time last year. So consistently throughout 2025, the late rent payments have been up over 2% throughout all of the year so far. Now, Shandon Economics does report that even though more people are behind on the rent, that eventually they do catch up. But that's for now, while they still have a job. And anybody who saw my recent video about the jobs report, you got to be living under a rock not to be able to realize that the job market is in major trouble right now. So if you're a landlord that's lucky enough to have a tenant that still has a job and is still able to pay on time, well, luck certainly is the word for your situation, because more and more people are unfortunately not in that situation. Because what's happening with businesses right now is even people that are lucky enough to still have a job, a lot of people are starting to see reduced hours at their job, and for sure they're seeing slowing wage growth, which is basically wages that have not been able to keep up with inflation.